What is up, everyone? This is the DF from RI 401 2.0 podcast here on this Friday. And boy, we have an interesting game to talk about this weekend. Of course, I want to get into this game because this is major implications for the college football playoffs. So, tomorrow afternoon, 3:30, 2:30 Central Time, 12:30 if you live on the West Coast. You got LSU going up against Alabama. And this is the main event of the college football weekend. I mean, this to me could have been a game of the century deal. You could have had 1 versus 2, but obviously the college football committee basically said, you know what, we're going to give LSU the number 2 seed, and we're going to give Alabama the number 3 seed. So, here we're going to get into all of the games, what's going to happen, the storylines, and my prediction on who's going to win this game, and what happens to the loser of this game. Because the loser of this game, they're out of the college football playoff. And they're going to be in the New Year's 6 bowl game. So before we get into that, I just want to plug in my channel here, the DF from RI 401 2.0. That is my channel. Subscribe to it. We've had 2 new subscribers coming in. Actually, three new subscribers. So thank you very much to those subscribers that subscribe to the channel. Of course, yesterday I did talk about the new pitching coach for the New York Yankees, which has been a very popular video right now on my YouTube page. Also, you know what? Check out my other wrestling podcast channel, the DF Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. Of course, I put up the Wrestling Observers. I will put up the Wrestling Observers this weekend because we do have AEW Full Gear, which I'm also going to be watching tomorrow night as well after this college football game. So it's going to be a very busy Saturday. If you're a college football fan, if you're a pro wrestling fan, this is your Saturday. And so check that out. We are close to 100 subscribers, and I also like to put in some of my hotlines in there as well. So let's talk about this game. So I believe that this game is going to be a very good game. This does have potential to be a Game of the Year candidate. We all know this is going to be major implications for the college football playoff, obviously. And this is my predictions for this game. I think we're going to see some big games from the running backs in this. And the reason for that is because when you look at the defense, neither of these defenses, they're elite as what we've seen in years past. And when you have the ground game for LSU and Alabama, you got Clyde Edwards in there, you got Harris, and I expect them to have really big games, especially Harris, because Harris is basically upping his draft stock and could be in for a big performance in this game. So I expect 150 plus yards. Now, when it comes to the quarterbacks between Tua and Joe Burrow, I want to talk about Tua because I think, to me, Tua has more of the bigger storyline in this game because of the fact that this is going to be Tua's first game back from that ankle injury. My X factor in all of this is the fact that maybe Tua is not 100%. Maybe that ankle is going to bother him. But I'm going to say it as a prediction here. He's going to have a big game. He's going to throw for 4 touchdowns. But I think he's going to get picked off twice. And Tua, this guy's a gunslinger. He loves to throw deep. And when you have a really good receiving corp over there, like Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, that is going to give you some big-time performances. But also, when you kind of look at it for a moment, it's really going to test your secondary. It's, well, LSU's secondary, so to say. And when it comes to that secondary for LSU, I think it's going to lead to Tua getting picked off twice in this game. Now, Joe Burrows. I think Joe Burrows is also going to have a big game. 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. And when you look at Joe Burrows, this guy was an average quarterback in the SEC. But since Joe Brady came to LSU, he has turned Joe Burrows into a potential number 1 overall pick and possibly a front runner for the Heisman Trophy. And you look at his statistics. 79% of his passes were completed this season. In that game against the Florida Gators, he took on Florida's defense and he dominated. In the last game against Auburn, he took on a pass rush. And you know what he did to that pass rush of Auburn? He dominated them. And why wouldn't he? I mean, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and I expect those two to rack up numbers against Alabama. So, who wins this game? Obviously, everybody's going with Alabama in this game. I'm not. The reason being is, and you can make a point, because people that are going with Alabama to win this game, they're going to say, oh, going to Tuscaloosa, winning a game in Tuscaloosa is difficult in college football. And you need a great quarterback performance. For example, you're going to need somebody out there like a Johnny Manziel, a Tim Tebow. But I kind of believe that LSU has that type of quarterback in Joe Burrows. And as long as Joe Burrows puts together a big performance, and that secondary, as I talked about, gets at least 2 turnovers against Tua, I believe that LSU is going to win this game. And this is going to lead to my other point in this video here. Alabama. What happens to Alabama if they lose this game? The fact that when the college football playoff rankings came out on Tuesday, and we saw an LSU side that has a much stronger resume than Nick Saban, you look at LSU for a moment. LSU has beaten 3 teams in the top 10. Let me talk about those teams. They beat Texas in primetime. They beat Florida in a primetime game on ESPN. And they beat Auburn in an SEC on CBS game. This would be their 4th top 10 opponent going into this game. When you see the Crimson Tide, they've only played 1 ranked team. Who is that ranked team? Texas A&M. What did they do to Texas A&M? They beat the living crap out of freaking Texas A&M. And also the fact that Texas A&M, they were ranked number 24 in the nation in week 7. And after that loss to Alabama, what happened to Texas A&M? They fucking got dropped out of the top 25. And when you're looking in terms of out-of-conference resumes, LSU's most impressive win, like I said, came against a number 9 ranked team in Texas in the second week. Alabama, on the other hand, who did they play in week 2? A trash-ass team named Duke, who was unranked. And you got to ask yourself this. all the college football fans out there that are going to be watching this video right now, would the resume of a one-loss Alabama team be stronger than a one-loss Big Ten team, a Big 12 team, mind you, a Pac-12 team that could win a conference championship? And I can say the same thing about the Big Ten and the Big 12 on whoever's going to be their respective winners in their conference championships. It's a debate. It really is going to be a debate for college football fans. But people are going to say, you know what? Nick Saban in Alabama is going to be on top because, it's the SEC. The SEC is the most dominant conference in college football. Yes, they are. I'm going to admit that. But you have a potential of, if LSU wins this game tomorrow, LSU is going to be in the SEC championship game. No doubt about it. Who are they going to play in the SEC championship game? Obviously Georgia, because I think Georgia's going to run the table. And if I say it in a hypothetical situation, and let's just say, for example, Georgia beats LSU in the SEC championship game, do you think that Alabama is going to get into the college football playoff? No. Do you think whoever wins the Big Ten championship is going to get into the college football playoff? Possibly, if there's one team that's undefeated. And we'll talk about the other game coming up in a couple of weeks with Penn State and Ohio State, because that could also have major implications for the college football playoff. Do I think a Big 12 team is going to get into the college football playoff? It's certainly a possibility, but I don't think it's going to happen because Oklahoma, they could win the Big 12 championship. They could be left out. I think the only way a team from the Big 12 is going to get in is Baylor, because Baylor's undefeated. Pac-12. I really don't know. I don't know if a Pac-12 team is going to be in the college football playoff this year. I really don't know. And that's why I love this month of college football, because we can debate on who is the better team. Now, another point that Alabama Crimson Tide fans are going to say, and I bet you, they're going to come on my channel, put it in the comment section. What about 2017 and 2018 when they won the national championships? Okay, let's talk about that. Yeah, they did luck out during that campaign. And you wanna know why they did? Because they squeaked into the playoffs after they lost to Auburn. Mind you, Auburn losing to Georgia in the SEC championship saved Alabama from going into the college football playoff. Because if Auburn had beaten Alabama that season, Auburn beaten Georgia, not Alabama. Gotta get my facts straight. But in that hypothetical, if Auburn had beaten Georgia, Alabama is not in the college football playoff. Looking at this scenario, it's not going to happen this year. No way. No way, shape, or form it's going to happen. Which is why this game is so important for Alabama tomorrow. So, can't wait for this game tomorrow. This is going to be major implications for the college football playoff. I can't wait for this game, man. Probably I'll talk about it next week when the new rankings come out. But let me all know what you think in the comment section here. I'd like to get your thoughts on this, guys. Until then, I am out. Deuces and love.